Hello, sports fans from around the world, and welcome to the NRL SuperCoach BDE Podcast. We are the best draft experts, with your host struggling through the flu and giving you as much energy as I just did to start. So, welcome along this evening. We have Simo back, also struggling with fatigue, I presume.
Mate, your voice it really sums up the show at the moment, doesn't it? Yeah, mate, it's good to be back. Good to be back. You've really welcomed me with open arms with that intro, so well done, mate.
I have
But
that. I promise you, mate,
look,
that was every bit of effort I've got.
fair play to you. Look, I'm at least faking it a little bit better than you are. It's a struggle getting through the nights, a lack of sleep. But mate, we're here to talk about fantasy, so let's get into it.
We are. And welcome as well to the sexy man himself, the Tiod man. Hello, sir.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, I'm here. No kids, no flu for me. It's all daisies over here, brother.
Yeah, well done, mate. You got yours out of the way. So I'm just going to throw every question to the Tiod. Here we go.
Yeah, go on.
Because of the battles, listeners, we've got a bit of we're putting the schedule on a player by player we think is relevant basis rather than the team by team and game by game edition. So with this scrambled brain that I've got going, we've got some comments straight off the bat.
Just getting rinsed.
Do you want to read that one out for me, please, mate?
Finza, he says, hate the toddy, love the potty. Fins up this week. Get it up your son, man. You know what, Merlo? You can jog on, son. Why's going to do ya?
Good.
Love your work. Already jumped to number one fan of ours. Dom, A Potty, love the toddy. Back on there's Dom for you, mate. There you go.
That's it. There's the love.
Merlo boldly asking for us to rank. If you're including Todd in that, you might be able to
rank. He doesn't want my ranks anyway.
Rank in order for me, please, fellas. 1 week play between. I'm sure the question will follow. All right. Go throw out some names, boys, and I want you to name me out of these who are the top 3 waivers for the week. We are indeed going to cater for people that are first-time listeners who may have not got ahead of the game on a few of these. So I'm going to start with the low-hanging fruit. That is Ezra Mam, most talked about rugby league player in recent times. 5/8 eligible, of course, is really where things get interesting. I know Simo and I have a long-standing bet around Ezra getting towards first round value in SuperCoach. Yep, trended pretty well, Simo.
You would need a 24-year plan for that, brother.
Tell me as of today, Simo, his value though in waiver land with 5/8, he's worth a shout.
Look, because he's on waivers, he's definitely worth a pickup. Ranking him rest of the season is tough. Like, obviously, he's missed a lot of footy. Obviously, he played well in the Queensland Cup, but that's Queensland Cup. But come back into the Broncos side, you think it'll take him a little while to get his match fitness back. And we can't overstate Ezra Mam as a player either. We need to understand that even at his peak, he's always needed attacking stats to sort of live or die in SuperCoach. As, let's face it, a lot of 5/8s do need that. So he's not different than a lot of players, and he invariably gets them because he is that sort of player. But in saying that, look, he's still a 5/8 with a fair bit of upside in a team that should rebound rest of season, you'd hope. What we're seeing out of the Broncos has definitely been unders on what their expectations were going into the year. So if you're a believer in the Broncos being better than they have been, and Mam should be a big part of that. He's an easy waiver if you're running out a 5/8 that you're not happy with. And when you look at the landscape of 5/8s, there's really a lot of players at the position that aren't really achieving what they should be doing. You've probably got 5 or 6 guys that are pretty rock solid there that you're happy to start. But there'd be a lot of leagues out there where you're happy to have him at least as a rotational 5/8, sort of play the matchups with a lot of these sort of guys. It wouldn't be many players you consider matchup proof at the 5/8 position. So I think he's worth a claim. Majority of leagues out there, definitely deep leagues like 12 or a 14 teamer. I think he's just a bona fide claim there. Because there's going to be someone in your league that needs him. Let's be real. So for the fact that he's at least a trade chip or taking a player away from your opposition, what you think of him might be irrelevant. Obviously, if you don't want to own him, I understand that. It's got to be said as well. But from a strictly fantasy-related point of view, he's got value to a lot of teams in your league. waiver him. If he's good for you, then use him. But if not, draft him as a trade or waiver him as a trade piece and go from there.
I think you've kind of hit something there, Simo, that I think he won't fetch a lot in terms of being a trade piece. But what you could do, if you're a guy that, because of the feelings people may have towards him, we know we've seen that in fantasy in the past with certain players, Jared Hayne, et cetera, et cetera. I think what could be a good strategy is if you're a guy who has like a Matt Burton or a Galvin who aren't exactly setting the world on fire, may or may not hit the dizzy heights this year. If you believe in Ezra Mam, go get him and trade one of those two, and you'll actually fetch a pretty good piece for the rest of your side. Could be a bold strategy if you're looking to ignite your season. So yeah, for me, it's just he should be owned. He's got to be owned in every league. You're going to have to put a waiver in if he's sitting out there. A lot of competitive leagues have had him stashed for quite some time. I know Simo, Listen League, me, you've had him league a record. Could be a juicy little flex play as well, just quietly, for those that need it. Todza, make an argument for me as to why Zach Hosking would be your overall number one ahead of Ezra Mam this week.
I mean, 2RF is pretty crazy. I mean, I know in our league, my 2RFs aren't really flash. So we've seen from Zach Hoskins really good things when he's being started at the edge. He's going to get that time for quite some time with Matty Nicholson out. So he's sort of locked into that 80-minute role. We've seen him with massive upside. I just think that he could be a guy that wins you a week with some big try-scoring games. So that's why I believe that he would be a better number one pick than Ezra Mam.
He is, mate. I think that's the way I was going as well, because I think everyone could probably benefit from Hosking. If you got 3 gun 2RFs already, you're in a much better position than most. And in terms of a trade chip, again, either trading one of your 3 existing or Hosking, the only reason I want to say Hosking with a bit of caution, the poor bugger just cannot stay fit. Please, fella, give us a run now that Nicholson's down. It's going to be a good one. I will go with the question here from Paul Wilson. G'day, Paul. Go to our listeners who've tuned in. Hey,
Paul.
boys. What you think of Harry Hayes? I'm in a 10-man draft league and options are slim. He was absolutely on my list, of course, lads, for one to discuss. So I'm just going to jump straight in. There is obviously a fair bit of intrigue here. The one question that I want to ask you boys is, does Josh Curran, when he comes back in next week in round 12, does he go back to an edge to fill this gap? Or, because he was such a powerhouse in the front row before he got suspended, do you think that he slots back into the front row? Simo?
I think that Curran will play the edge, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm big on Harry Hayes as a player. I really am. And I'd love to be all in on this guy as a waiver claim. I'm someone who, like, a bit of a backstory here, but like last week I really needed CTW or 2RF eligibility. I picked up Harry Hayes, hoping he'd get the spot, and then he lost out an hour before kickoff. Ended up going back to the bench, reverting back there. I'd hate to spend a high claim on him being all in and then see that happen again this week. He also got a bit of a head knock the week just gone, so I believe it was Cat 2 and he passed, so obviously it should be all right, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was enough to sort of knock him back to a bench player again. There's a big risk there. If you want to take a punt, because there is massive upside if he ends up holding that spot. If he plays well, he might even keep it. So you've got to really make a decision there on what you think. As we sit here now, I believe that unless Harry Hayes comes out and brains it, I think Curran goes back to the edge next week when he returns, because he was pretty good there as well, as he is everywhere. Let's be real. Joshy Curran plays well no matter what position he goes in. So, yeah, tough one. I'd love to be all in, but just too many risks as we sit here today.
Todza, quick follow-up, mate. Do you have him holding edge until let's think. Salmon's out for a while. Who am I missing? Preston 4 weeks. Tupanua 4 more weeks. So really, Todza, it's Curran or bust. So do you just say FRF or edge for Curran?
I think he's going to be the edge. I think he'll come back at the edge.
All right.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, Paul, I think it's unanimous here. He is worth owning. Don't get me wrong. I like where Simo went with that, because we absolutely could be wrong here. And if he brains it, could be his spot until that happens. But it's hard to sell him as a really high waiver this week. Thanks, Paul. Great question, mate. All right, boys. Moving on through my list, there's a couple of players that I just want to quickly mention that are pretty much no-brainers if they're out there. So the return of JFH, boys, if he is in fact out there, he's an easy one because most people are struggling for FRF and always will. So that's a pretty straightforward one there. Ethan Bullymore, just a quick shout. He is actually named to start FRF again. Sorry, Ethan for you, Simo, of course. So Ethan has looked pretty good when he's played there, and I think with that bench and rotation, quick green light, boys, easy, at least plug and play for maybe one or couple of weeks.
FRF2, yes, please.
FRF2, you beauty, done, low end claim. Good on you, Paul. Cheers, boys. Like it. All right, so that's that one. Teague Wilton, boys, there's a chance he's on the extended to come back. If he's been somewhat carelessly dropped in any leagues, waiver number one, easiest thing you've ever seen in your life. Just catering to those, Todzer. I know you and I, we're all fans of him on the potty, especially real life.
Oh, boy, howdy. Love the cut of his gym. Holy.
Jeez, I'd love it. He's the sort of player you'd love to have in your team, right? I just think he does everything right. All right. Knight's Persuasion, and I'm keeping it positive. We're not going to discuss that second half in any detail because that will make
he lost to the Titans.
You can't play worse than that in a game that should have won. It was Jack Cogger not letting the ball go out may have caused me to expletive have to leave the room I was in.
What was he doing?
I'm not a professional rugby league player, but I knew that rule. Just let it go. What are you doing?
Like, the big thing is that people say, "Oh, yeah, this is the kickoff. The rules are different." It doesn't matter. Like, he's played footy his whole life. You know that if you kick the ball off and it goes out over the sideline, anywhere on the field, you get the ball back, right? It's like he had to have thought that one of his teammates had touched it, but when you watch that replay, they weren't anywhere near it. It was just an absolute mind.
That's our game manager, fellas.
You must have lost
game manager. I did. I actually literally that was
and the game.
Might have been why I'm sick. So thanks for that, Jack Cogger. You've given me the flu.
Yeah, Jack Cogger.
Rest of the we were discussing, Simo, before you got on. We were discussing who we thought are in the category of just the worst starting players in the NRL who play 60 minutes plus. A couple of names that got to mention. Seyfarth, definitely.
Surely Cleese Haas is number one.
Cleese, Seyfarth, and Cogger. We weren't trying to be crazy, and we don't want to be too negative because they're all good players playing NRL. But Cogger fired me up. Murata got a run.
Always gets a run.
Murata's. The thing with Murata is he's on bulk coin over there.
Yeah.
He's taken up. Him and Capewell are taking up so much of the salary cap.
It's unbelievable.
The best defensive centre in the game, Kirk Capewell. Is that what you're talking about, Simo? He's been actually pretty good.
Fair play to Capewell. I won't be ragging him because he's been pretty good.
He's actually genuinely. If he got named on edge for Origin, I'd be like, well, based on form at least. I'm not saying he should, but based on form. Okay, to the Knights. So Fletcher Hunt, good young player coming in for Greggy Marju. 4 weeks at least, plays through the bye round as beautiful as you like. Simo, you're usually the guru, mate, on these younger dudes. He comes with a bit of a rap. This could be a good one.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Fletcher Hunt, to be fair. I have heard that he's a pretty good up-and-coming player, but yeah, I mean, I think the big thing with Marju, and this is like a really unpopular take, and do I think it happens? Probably not, but I think it is in the realm of possibility. Like, watching that game when Marju went off, there was a lot of chat, and I was watching it thinking the same thing, did he actually get hooked? Finally, because he's just been throwing, we've talked about it a few times where he's been throwing just impulsive offloads inside his own end and losing it at least once or twice a game. And before he got injured and went off, he did do that same thing again, tried to offload inside his 30 and they turned it over and Titans got the ball. And it wouldn't have shocked anyone if he'd got the hook there. And so, look, Fletcher Hunt's a decent own. If you own Marju, I think he's definitely someone you try and handcuff him with because, as you said, he plays through the bye, has a good couple of weeks here. And just in case, you'd feel dirty if you own Marju and this Fletcher Hunt comes out and brains it, and then Adam O'Brien decides to keep him in the side, give Marju a bit longer. Do I think it happens? No, but could it happen? I could definitely see it as a scenario. So if you're a Marju owner, I'd be targeting this guy at least with a low end waiver if possible.
Yeah, I like it. I think he's at least, I like it as the Marju handcuff and someone who should at least return 4 CT dub value playing on the left there. Marky, my mate Mark said he had to book me a psychologist appointment because of the Cogger incident. I appreciate your care for my mental health, Mark. Might need another appointment, old son. We'll jump next onto the Xavier Willison situation. Dom has raised it here. Is he droppable? I'm going to just jump straight and say firm no, just because he has been named to start again. And guess who wasn't that great on the weekend again, boys? One of the most infuriating things, Todzer did put Puker up in the list of players we thought were really not very good. Boy, can he drop a pill. My goodness. Hopefully the coach was paying attention to how much that hurt the Broncos on the weekend, and Xavier Willison does get his 60 minutes. I still think FRF2, you hang on to him for now, Dom. But if that chop change thing keeps happening or his minutes are bad in the next game, that's pretty much all she wrote. Fair enough, boys?
Sounds good to me, mate.
Yeah.
Paul added to this and just said, Willison, so frustrating. Such a beast, but doesn't get through big minutes. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, mate, and I think he's the best option the Broncos have got there. So it's a strange one, but I think that's the reason you hold with hope.
He'll be a frustrating own, I think. We sort of know this sort of style of player, like he's being made into an edge. So when he plays well, obviously he's going to look amazing in $1 million. And then as soon as they lose, he's a potential scapegoat there. Especially if they get beaten through the middle, they often make these changes where he goes back and plays through the forwards to give him a bit of size and that sort of stuff. So that's going to infuriate owners throughout the year. But as Chris said, like he's an upside laden second FRF at minimum. Like he's still going to be a beast around the try line. So he's got a lot of things
like
going
Nass.
for him that most number 2 FRFs don't have that. So.
View him a bit like a Nass that hopefully has a chance of more consistent minutes than Nass. They're similar-ish. Garner. Merlot's jumped in here with a question around Garner. Simo, you've used him to good effect. He's looked pretty good as a centre, to be fair with him. He's doing his job, and he's actually got a decent set of hands on him. I mean, I think that formula for Panthers is probably he wasn't the reason they struggled, but he did get subbed off. That's what the challenge is here. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would be okay to drop. To be honest, it's he got. I think he went off without 25 to go, and I guess there's some hope there with 25 to go. You're thinking, does he get a 15-minute spell and then come on and play through the like take an edge spot and IPAP go to the middle or something? But then they're a factor in that Sorensen won't be out forever either. So, yeah, he's a reluctant drop, but I could see many scenarios out there where you're happy to go for one of these highly talked about guys on the podcast. So, if there's bigger names out there, I'd be all right dropping him because I just don't think the minutes are necessarily, as secure as what you'd hope.
Fair play. Thank you, Merlo. Next is sticking with the Knights. There's just a few players here I want to bring up. One is very obvious. So you hold Leo Thompson, boys. He's only out with a concussion. He's been really quite serviceable as an FRF2. Adam Elliott is a 1-week special while Thompson's out. Every time he starts there, he averages 55. So if you just need a little bit of patchwork for 1 week, absolutely viable option. Thomas Cant, Todzer, has made an appearance on the bench. Got to pay attention to that, mate, because he's been doing enough with bench minutes. Like he's a tackle bot. What are we doing here? Yeah,
for me, it'd probably be only a free agent pickup if I wanted to do that. He's a tackle bot, and when he gets the minutes, he's good. This is a four, like nearly. There's a 3-4 bench with Brayley. I don't see him having a huge amount of minutes, like a 40. I don't think he's going to be ticking up past a 50. So it's probably a free agent stash for me, and just to see if he can get those minutes, but I'm not super excited about it.
Yeah, I like the FA. That's decent. A player on the rise here, Todzer, we'll stick with you for this one, mate, is Riley Smith in a position that's been really bad. Has actually started to play a little bit better real life too. And put together, there's a couple of scores back-to-back now that are looking pretty good in terms of base. He's a You're talking about tackle bots doing his best Chris Randall impression. Got to pay attention to this, mate, especially with the Eels bye coverage.
Yeah, really good bye coverage. Riley Smith over the last couple of weeks taking that little bit of a step into just being a little bit calmer at the ruck, and his delivery is pretty good. So, as you said, a tackle bot, he's put on a couple of big scores of 50 and 60 in the last 2 weeks. So, definitely one I'd be looking to pick up if I was hooker needy. And I mean, most people are, like, unless you have a couple of guys. The hooker's been pretty rough this year. So, I do like the shout of Riley Smith. Many leagues you've probably already been picked up just out of scarcity. But, yeah, I do like the shout.
Yeah, I've got him at least as a mid claim, and if you're sitting on someone, like even your Coruscant owner right now, which we'll talk about in a minute, because we finally, Cora doesn't have. My brain is so scattered. The gentleman Talon De Silva is not on the bench this week, so that is an interesting one for the Appy owner. The other one is Kitione Katunga. So has I got that right, Tots?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Kautonga, yeah.
Katunga. With Kalma Tuolangi due back next week.
Surely we're not. Nah, there's no chance Tuolangi gets that shit. No, not a chance.
Fair play. I think there is, but that's the reason I bring him up. So is Kotonga doing enough to be SuperCoach relevant as a third, given the bye coverage?
Yes. I mean, he's going to knock you out of 50. He's a 50 guy with a bit of upside. He has hit the line pretty well recently. He's starting to work with Mitchie, Moses, and Dylan Brown. So I think he's one just to hold on to. And there's not a chance in that Tuolangi comes back and takes that spot. Like, not Matt Dory's in the other edge. Like, if anything, he's going to take that spot. There's no way. Katonga was supposed to be there round 1 but got injured. He was, Roll's golden boy coming through the preseason. So I think it's his spot.
Okay.
Kalma Tuolangi, get out of here.
You love Kalma Tuolangi, don't you?
Oh, jeez.
No, this is the thing. I'm actually his biggest critic. Remember I used to say about getting injured every 2 seconds and then dropping the ball. But then he went on that run back into last year, and it's enchanted me, Simo. There's something about it.
I drafted him.
It's a massive about face. Oh,
it is an about face. I'm just all about creaking out that value where it shouldn't be found, Simo. Tell you where, I don't know where you think he sits on the Cisa Wanga line. Simo, Hugo Savala has shown a little bit finally. Bye coverage is elite. Obviously has that unusual dual positioning as well. Should he at least be owned through this bye period?
Oh yeah, his bye coverage alone means he's definitely someone that needs to be on rosters. Like elite bye coverage, dual position, and like there's going to be a lot of good halfbacks gone in the first major bye round. So I'm surprised he's not been picked up in a lot of leagues, at least just as bench cover for those sort of people, because there's definitely going to be a need for him in a week's time. So, not a waiver, but someone that, I think he'll be a pretty popular free agent in a lot of leagues out there.
What are we doing with Dom Young, boys? Sim, I'll start with you. Is it just going to chew up a roster space longer than you need? He's not getting back in that Roosters side. Apparently, the Knights completely screwed him, to be honest, and offered him a gig and then said, well, wait a minute, I want you to pay most of it. Is he just dropped at this point, Simo? I think he is.
Yeah, I'd probably hold another week just to see if things change. Like, so often you see these sort of things come out in the media and, it seems like that they're all butting heads and then they find a way to make it work. So hold him for another week. First bye round, as soon as you need players, which you will do if you're playing.
Good shout. Good shout. Because that was the great white hope, mate, was that Knights would sign him in time for the week 12 bye, and he'd still have that too. So, no, fair play. I like that. Good caution. Finafuiaki. So obviously, Connolly Lemuelu now back to the Pine. Tom Gilbert, whose value has fluctuated violently throughout the season, is now back to being on an edge. You beauty. Good stuff. What are they doing? Finafuiaki has maintained 80 minutes or close enough to. I think he had 1 week of high in the 70s. Maybe he is becoming the guy, Todza? Are we happy enough?
As a third, yeah, but he hasn't even really kicked on and scored a crazy amount. I think he's like averaging like 50 or something. Like his biggest score has been like 55. He's a real frustrating one to watch, to be honest. He has all this talent, but it just hasn't really – he looks good when I watch him, but he just hasn't kicked on with SuperCoach. And I think he's got that huge upside, but right now he's like a 2RF 2-3 kind of guy, which is fine. But I just think he has so much more in him.
I just think that's why he's a good guy to have, because I think the base, since he's been playing the 80 or near to it the last few weeks, I think, Simo, I think you've been running him in our League of Record, and it's been enough.
Yep.
Like, it's not been killing you, and I think that there are some scores to come. I don't mind Fitafuyaki.
Well, there has to be. I was looking at his stats today, funnily enough. I believe he's hit like not one attacking stat. I think he's had 0 offloads, 0 tries, 0 line breaks, 0 line break assists. I might be wrong, but it's pretty bare. Like is that right, Toddy? Like
yeah. That's nuts. Like he looks the goods, dude. It just weird.
That's why I think you run him.
Yeah.
That's why I think he's a good guy to, if he's sitting out there, because I think a lot of people have been uncertain on him, but I just think the trend is pretty good. I also think he's that guy you could get pretty easily off someone if you are 2RF needy. People aren't going to fight for him. So just one I thought I would bring up. Some great questions here as well. Meso, good evening, sir. Is D safe a drop? Even if he plays week 12, is his shoulder injury the combo breaker to his good form and he comes back to the FRF pack? Averaging 60 or thereabouts, that's a very, very tough drop for mine, Todzer.
Yeah, I can't drop him.
I can't either. FRF's too barren.
Way too barren.
He just looked bloody good for me.
Yeah. I think you're reading too much into it. Like, if that's the case, then so be it. But I wouldn't be dropping him before you've seen anything. Like, if that's how it plays out, drop him then. It's just, I'd hate to drop him and him not be fine. You feel like an absolute muppet. So
I'd be happy to trade for D-Safe if rather than drop him, Meso. See if someone out there. There's a lot of FRF needy folk who would even potentially ride him through a buy period. So, but fair enough, mate. Good luck. I think D-Safe's been one of the better FRF draft options. Merlot has come back in with Frizzell, Lucy, Takiaho, or Gerbo 1 week play into a potential hold. Ooh, these are 4 rough options.
Jeepers. A combined
I think
age of like 4,000.
Yeah, Frizzell looks like he might be old, but he'd be the youngest of that pack.
That's crazy.
Him and Lucy. I'm going to say, for mine, I'm going to say Frizzell actually is the better option because he's the one with the best security there. The rest of them, like, you're not starting Gerbo. You're not starting Takiaho. Lucy's on the pine, so not getting enough minutes. I think it's Frizzell.
Frizzle.
Not with excitement, by the way, Merlo.
We all jump to that one.
Yeah, I'd go Lucy personally and just hope he hits attacking points.
From the pine. Wow. No, I'll take Frizzell's. Because the problem with Lucy is there, and I've had him at the start of the year, he can hit you like 20, which could kill you. Yeah. Fair play.
Look, I'm pretty sure Frizzell has hit a few 30s as well, though. So,
mate, FRF is a beast there. He's a beast. Yeah, they're tough. Mate, I'll jump back. Meso says, cheers, boys. Good on you, mate. Paul Wilson, Mo Fotuaika worth a pickup. Seems to be at 60 minutes average lately, and Jay Safe no more than a short-term play. I'll take the second one of this and say it was remiss of me not to mention Jay Safe. Yes, he's a guy you could pick up this week. I wouldn't be spending a high claim or anything like that because I still think Leo Thompson's the front rower you want from the Knights. But at least Jay Safe, he's got apparently he's in the Origin frame, which I think is bonkers.
What?
Who
does he play for?
He's been doing the bloody...
Must be Queensland.
No, New South Wales. He's represented New South Wales, mate. When he was in good form, he represented New South Wales. Look, he is a plug and play for this week, but I think when Thompson comes back, Thompson's the one you want to own there. Any disagreement, lads?
Oh, no disagreement.
It's fair. Yeah. Yep.
Mo Fott, pretty easy one here. He's having one of his runs. He's on that charge where he's getting back up the minutes, and he's actually been fantastic with them. And I think it's a lot to do with RCG, let's be fair, looking like the twilight of the career has arrived and not offering a lot of starch. So Mo Fott, a really big part of that Titans side now, and I think given you've got like, no D Fifi there, you've only got like a Cleese Haas, and then Tino's got to do it all. He's got to have at least some other forward to punch holes in the line. So I'm all about it. Like, if he's out there in free agent land, he moves way up the list, boys, right?
Oh, I love the shout, actually. Good question. Mo Fott has been awesome, hey. Like, even just the eye test, like, just he looks like hungry to play football again, which is nice. I really like the shout of just sort of that mid to 4-5 kind of waiver for a front rower who can probably punch you out a 55 average for the rest of the season.
Just be aware that we've seen this from Mo Fott before. I think Simo in your elevators. He's currently this version. But every now he just goes through this run, all of a sudden it's off. Once you see a lower minute, lower performance game, ship him. Done. He just disappears.
Yeah. It's funny that it's around Origin time. Like the big hope for Fodawaker rest of season is that like at the moment it looks like I've seen a few predicted Origin teams come out the last day or so. A lot of them have had Fodawaker as a bench forward there. So if he ends up playing for Queensland, I think it'll be good for him. Go back to clubland. If he keeps punching out 60 minutes, which he has been doing the last few weeks, hopefully the Origin arena means that Fodawaker can keep that consistency going because, let's be real, the Titans, like him and Tino need to do everything pretty much in terms of the go forward anyway.
Boy,
that bench they've got this week, crazy.
He's playing out of his mind at the moment.
Yeah, insane footy.
They only beat the Knights,
the
boys.
bench.
Let's not.
Told you I'm already feeling sick enough, mate. Don't beat a man while he's down, all right?
Very good.
Doing well, try not to cough on screen as well. Razzle, g'day, Cal. G'day, lads. Congrats, Simo, I believe, for the Listener League performance.
G'day, Razzle. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congrats for the baby, maybe, mate.
No.
Yep.
We did. What? Commitment. Back to the commitment. I actually literally spaced on that and forgot about the child.
I know you did.
I wouldn't expect anything less from you, Redford. Let's be real.
Hey, mate, I sent you a hearty congratulations and a box of cigars. Come on, man. All right, Anthony Mason, cheers, boys. Yeah, might have got lost in the mail, old son. Cal, g'day, Raz. Yeah, I can use the flu excuse, mate. And I believe we've got a classic question here, lads, which I'm happy to respond to. Jet, welcome along, sir. Hey, lads, who do I bring in for Mars? Tempted to get Euro, but can get whoever via Flex. Your options this week in Classic, I believe, if you're up there, is Euro, Herbie, or
Lucas.
Fletcher Sharp. They're the three. Well, you got to own Lucas already, Jesus.
Well, I was just saying.
If you don't own Lucas, you've not been playing properly. But assuming that you already have Lucas, one of those three, I'm going Fletcher Sharp. All right. Couple more names here, boys, as we get towards the end. I just wanted to mention that if RTS comes back, so he is sitting there, boys, we will always be in love with RTS. Do you think he moves back to the wing where he started the year and takes Tuapiki spot? Or do you think he moves into centre with Capewell back into the back row? Todza, I believe we were talking about this. You believe Capewell goes back into the back row.
I just don't see how our best team has Roger on a wing, Tuapiki not on the side, and Capewell playing the centres. Like, that just makes no sense to me. I think he comes back. If he's come back this oh, jeepers. Hello.
Sorry.
Sorry. I think if he comes back this week again.
Sorry.
If he comes back this week, it's into the centres and Capewell moves back to the back row. I think it strengthens our forward rotation with Rada Niokore going through the middle. So, because then he can just catch a ball and run and not have to worry about lines and tackling fast guys that are too good for him. So I think that would be the case if it was come out this week. Rest of season, I just really don't know. I think he'll be back on the wing eventually.
Simo, do you agree with this for RTS, mate? Because obviously, as an owner at least one league, I just want him back on a wing where the upside should be plentiful. I'd prefer him there than centre all day, every day. Do you think Todd's version is right?
I think in the short term, I believe he'll play centre. I do. I don't believe that it'll last a long time, though. Like, I'm sort of in agreement that I think he'll eventually go back to the wing. It's probably the best team for the Warriors, but I'm a big fan of Tuapiki as well. Like, I think he's if I'm being perfectly honest, if I was coaching the Warriors, I have Tuapiki at 1, Chance at centre, Roger on a wing.
I would
That's not
absolutely
going to
do that as
happen
well.
by the looks of it. So,
Why would you when you're the second best team in the league, baby?
mate, you'd be the best if you had that lineup, I reckon. It'd be unreal.
Yeah, Chance. It's like watching the Sharks, watching a few of these teams that have fullbacks like Connor Tracy at the Dogs. You're like, if you had an elite fullback, it would be wow. You'd be breaching the gap up to Melbourne.
Yeah, look, Chance is great for what he does. Like he is what he is. Like he's a massive effort guy. He's always going to be there when like in support and those sort of things. Like he's there for the hard carries, but his spark is not really his game. Like fancy feet, that sort of tackle busting style. He's definitely more of a workman. So yeah, that's just me talking out my ass because like that won't happen. But yeah, for Roger, if you own him, you play centre for a few weeks. He's got to own that. He'd still score all right, but I reckon the real hope is that in a couple of weeks, maybe it might take Berry coming back or Toddy's best mate Pompey getting another run or something. Leah Tower comes back.
Come on, mate. Sure, we've got someone else.
Well, Tuapiki's next spot is going to be on the bench, right? Like he'll be a bench utility.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, yeah, kills me because I'm a huge Tuapiki guy, but I think that's the reality here.
Just to respond, Jet has come in and said, sorry guys, do you only talk draft here? I didn't realise first time here. No apology necessary, sir. We are happy to field any question. Just be aware our expertise more lies in draft and being draft tragics. You do not want to know my classic rank. It's not strong. Welcome more questions. Great to have you aboard, Jet. Our man Cal has come in. He's actually literally as if reading my mind, Cal. Brain meld going on, mate. So, do we reckon Purdue moving to the halves helps or hurts his output? I think it's very obvious hurts. However, helps Cowboys. So overall, is it about the same, Tozza?
Yeah, interesting. I think it definitely hurts him short term. If he was to stay there and just hold that position the rest of the year, I think he really grows into it. Was a half coming through the grades, I believe. So, yeah, I think he's a few weeks he'll take to build into that role and then find his way in the team. But I think the upside's huge. They're getting their hands on the ball for Purdue. Like we've seen him with his feet. He's good with his hands. Like he's got everything it needs to be a really good 5'8" in the league. So I think, yeah, early doors hurts him, but could help him rest of season.
Dare I say BDE, Tozza? He reeks of
confidence. Good about him.
Oh, yeah. He's great. And this is exciting. If I was a Cowboys fan, I think Dearden into 7. I said this to you, Todd, before we went in. You got to feel Billy Slater might be somewhere around the traps there because the current form of DCE, not great. Since that news and everything went down, he has looked, I think he'll still be there. But if DCE plays as bad as he has been for Manly, for that origin, Queensland are in a bit of strife. Let's put it out there. Dearden at 7, Munster at 6 is probably the combo Billy would like to roll with. Very, very shortly. Like, Timo, pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Queensland lose the first one. DCE doesn't have a good game. Like, I mean, DCE, like, if Queensland lose the first one, even if he plays just average, he's got to really play well in losing side DCE for mine to keep the spot. Like, I reckon you've nailed it here. I reckon this has got Billy Slater all over this, saying, give Tommy Dearden a run at halfback just so we can see what we've got there and go from there. As to Kel's question, I think this hurts Purdue a lot. I think
it does.
It's it'll drop his average. I mean, he's killing it his average wise anyway, but he's probably due some regression in any case. But this will probably make it even more so because I think there'll be a bit of a few sort of growing pains at the first grade level to go straight into a half spot. So he might just be one pass away from the action now, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I think there is some similarities with Sharp. Cal's just written here, tend to agree, was loving him at centre, but hopefully can pull off a Sharp-like role at 5'8". There are similarities like with that acceleration that he has and his scheming. So I wouldn't be saying it's a full give up, but the problem with this scenario is, boys, the timing is lousy for SuperCoach. He's ineligible for DPP. He's just going to get stuck with the centre. You would have loved if he'd have picked up 5/8 eligibility. It's a bit cruel, to be honest, especially if he plays their rest of season, which he probably will. So
you can't get it in round 18.
I thought I read somewhere, Simo, she was done and dusted, but I could be wrong. I hope you're right. I hope it can be applied. So there is a later version of the DPP this year.
I could be wrong. I've been wrong in this space a few times, but I was of the belief there was 3 times a year, right? Every 6 weeks, 6, 12, and 18.
Okay, mate. I hope you're right. I just, you know, when you just read something and it stuck in my head that it sounded like it was like 12 was Dunzos. Even then with 18, obviously you got 6 or 7 odd rounds here. You're going to have to. There you go, Cal. You're absolutely right. So we've got if you can hang on to 18, he can be a 5/8 for you for the run home. Obviously, much prefer to play him there. So, thanks, Cal. All right. Jet's
Thanks,
come
Cal.
back and said, "Sweet, you guys have got yourself a new sub. Good man. You're welcome to it, sir."
Thanks, mate.
Cal, g'day, Simo. Very nice. Paul, strong contributor this evening. DFFE, worth a stash or a pass? This is a very interesting question because for our listeners, topical. There was a very large trade in this league between the two gentlemen you have before you, the Sexy Man and the Expert. DFFE was exchanged in a package deal. Todza, pardon me, he's flying high in our League of Record, has picked him up for the stash. Todza, talk me through your comfort in stashing him. And then Simo, talk me through, albeit it's pretty obvious you're in not as strong a position in the league, so you're the guy, should try and sell. But belief in him to come back and be an asset, Todza?
Oh, I mean, it's David Feeder. Like, we're not talking about some random 2RF. Like, this guy is number 1 2RF when he wants to be. He just needs to get that time. A lot of talk around Dez's contract and if he's not in the 8 by a certain round, getting the flick. So that is something that I was also thinking about at the time. But even as Simo and I were doing the trade, like there was talks of DFFE being shopped around. You got a syndesmosis. I know he's going to be out for a little bit. I just wanted to take the punt. Like I had the opportunity to do it just because I was in the position I was at top of the league. And it's just, it was just the right time to take the punt on David Feeder. And if I get it right, like I've got this 2RF that can be easily the number 1 2RF on the run home. It cost me a little bit, but like at the same time, I could have just picked up a guy who could win me the league end of year. So confidence in him coming back, not overly confident, but with Dez there and still being at the Titans, but like there's a whole lot of moving pieces happening that I think DFFE could come back and be a real league winner for me. So that's why we made the trade, and I'm happy to get him. Like he's going to stay on my pine for a little while, but man, if he comes back and 80% of what DFFE can, like, it's a win for me.
Yeah, and so unless you got anything extra there, mate, it's just you were obviously not going as strong in the league. Wasn't helping you to try and climb, get some wins. So packaging him in a deal is probably a pretty good option, Simo, at the moment.
Yeah, look, I've been struggling. I drafted Latrell, I drafted Kinney, Fafita, Hopgood. A lot of issues sort of going on with my side in particular. So I was struggling a lot in the ladder. I've been sort of waiting up for someone like Toddy in his position to come sort of sniffing around for Feeder. Because I think it's the right thing for people high on the ladder to be doing. He's too good a player to be down for this long. Like this ankle surgery is probably a really good thing because he goes away, gets it sort of cleaned up again. We're hoping you don't want him playing through that, right? So he goes away, gets it fixed up. I don't see a scenario where he doesn't play first grade when he's fit. Like the dropping to Reggie's was surely just a 1 week thing, just to sort of probably more make a point, like either improve your training habits or don't talk back to the coach about positional sort of things that, obviously there's been a bit of a debate about him playing left versus right, both internally at the club between those guys, but also externally as well. Like we've talked about on the podcast quite a lot about the Fermor, Fafita, which edge. But in terms of rest of season, like I'll be pretty confident he comes back at minimum off the bench. And even if he comes back and plays off the bench and gets 60 minutes like he was, like he's not going to. If he does that, he won't be like the number one 2RF, but he can still be like a top 15 guy with those sort of minutes. With obviously the potential of having a good game or two. Cleese just drops out again. Des wakes up to himself and realizes, look, I could win games to keep my spot. So yeah, if I'm high on the ladder, I'd be trying to look at Fafita. I think Toddy did the right thing. In terms of the actual trade, just so the listeners are aware, so I gave Toddy Fafita, Hopgood, and Tuivasa Shaq for Horsburgh and Horsburgh, Lehigh, and Sammy Walker.
Yeah.
So
and the Hopgood bit's the one I wanted to talk about as well, Simo. The Hopgood. So you're in a spot where he wasn't really helping you now as well. So it's obviously selling. You've sold him here for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, right? You've just sort of cut your losses to hopefully get some stuff back. Obviously, speaks to how you're feeling about you just don't have the time to try and get wins and wait for him to turn it around. Moving on then to you, Todza. You've sort of taken a punt as well. At least he is getting 40, hopefully. But you were telling me there's a back injury at play as well here,
apparently there's some whispers he's still carrying a back injury. They're monitoring his minutes, which would make a lot of sense. He kind of looks uncomfortable when he's running at the moment as well. I saw him chase down whoever scored on the left-hand side. Hopgood was one of the guys chasing back. He sort of looked awkward as if he was carrying a back injury. That's the best I can give you, mate. Like, I took the chance on Hopgood as well. If he comes back to, gets himself back to 60 minutes, like, I'm absolutely cheering. Like, my 2RF, pretty weak at the moment, just with Alicia Katoa, but he's the only guy sort of really doing a whole lot. So take the punt on these guys, hopefully get through the bye rounds and see what happens at the end of the season. If I hit on even one of Fifi and Hopgood, like, it's a win-win.
Yep. And just some... Go, Simo.
Sorry, there's a big difference between, like, people in my situation. Like, I had Fafita and Hopgood. If you're the drafter of those guys and you've still got them on your roster, there's a very good chance you're struggling. And there's a big difference between trading for him, like Toddy has, taking a punt, than my situation where he's burnt not only draft capital but also roster spot for the best part of like 9 to 10 weeks now. So I can see why. Yeah, he's a hard person to sell because you're giving up at this point. I was happy to move on from him because I just wasn't keen on starting him last week, no matter what. So, he's someone that if you can get him so cheap. So if you're doing well on the ladder and you like Toddy, you can afford to have a punt. I think that's all he is at this point because I feel like if you play through the buys, he's just one buy round where the Eels don't play away from being out there on waivers. It's just fortunate that they do play the first one.
Yeah.
So Razzle's come in with Hopgood minutes, killing me. Captain Rivalry, crazy low for him. And just checking hooker dual eligibility. Do you reckon he snuck just enough to hit it?
Nah.
It's just three. They say. Yeah, they say 3 games total because I know they were talking even about some of them like in terms of half games. So as long as someone played a half a game, they do they'll go, okay, so 2.5. So he would be somewhere between 1.5 and 2, Simo, something like that.
Oh, he'd be bloody close, to be honest. Like
close, yeah.
I think there's been definitely 2 games where he's played. Definitely 2 games where he's played 9. I think if you were to look back at Riley Smith's stats. I think Riley Smith has played 82 weeks in a row. This will go off the top of my head here. I think he's played 82 weeks in a row. Before that, Hopgood was spelling him. So I'd say 2 games for sure, possibly 2.5. Yeah.
All right, boys. They are the names that we were considering this week. Just to mention that Harry Grant is on his way back. Is he someone we really should be targeting as a buy low, especially the person that drafted Harry Grant? It seems unlikely would be doing well in leagues, I would assume, given he would have been a first or early second round draft pick. Is he someone you should go after? Do you think he'll actually turn it on like he's done most seasons, or do you think he gets managed all the way through here?
Well, you should have tried to buy him 3 weeks ago. Like the person who, in that situation that's drafted him and has him back now, like they're not going to really be keen on fielding offers now. Surely it's like I've started him for 3 or 4 weeks. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
depends
I
on
guess
his 3 or 4 weeks
it
of
might be
losses,
just
though.
option.
You know, they could be struggling
Yeah.
even more than they were. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be looking to sell him, but I just wonder if someone's in a position like yours, Todzer, say you didn't have a Connor Watson, is Harry Grant someone you'd go after?
Oh, he's certainly a guy I'd like on my team. It's just like Simo said, he'd come back this week. I still think you'd have to pay a pretty decent dollar for Harry Grant. Like there's every chance. I think all three of us think that he would come back and he'll still be the number one hooker. Like he's that guy. So I don't think I'd be targeting him, and you wouldn't be able to get him for super cheap. So it probably wouldn't be my kind of go. But if you're a guy out there who has like a Connor Watson or something, like give it a crack, see what happens.
Just one buy low that I'm going to put down in the extreme buy low category, and I mentioned it earlier, and I want one buy low out of the, both of you, please. Api Coruscant, if he actually gets 80 minutes, completely flips the narrative on his season. And I don't know, looking at that bench, I'm not going to claim Tony Sukar. Are we familiar with his work?
No, he played forwards last week.
With that bench, could be 80 minutes or there, close enough for Cop Appy. Could be someone you could literally get almost for free. So just throwing it out there. All right, Alex Johnson back, and just a special mention to the animal that is Nas, who returned with an absolute bang on the weekend against the Tigers. Holy crap, that was crazy.
What a hiding.
Another question here from Paul. Campbell Graham's come up a fair bit on this potty. Do you see him improving on his 40 average? Such a contrast to prior seasons. Just a quick summary, Paul. Yeah, he's someone we've discussed a lot with the talent, but we think Simo's gone back and forth a little on this one, but we just think possibly a lost season, and also doesn't play round 26. So even if he starts humming towards the back end, you're not going to have him for your grand final. So not someone we're heavily invested in rest of season. Thank you, Paul. All right. They are the names on the list. Todzer, I don't believe we've got Booker Face questions today.
No,
anything
mate,
on X, Simo?
Yeah, I got a couple over on X. Our mate Shred from the Listener League fame.
Yeah, Shred.
Who would you rather, Marky Mark or Zach Lomax?
Zach Lomax.
Yep, Lomax with
just
the
goal kicking. Yeah.
Yep. And he was being okay with Moses there. Yep. To tell you what.
Yep.
Anwandi Tawaze, though, has climbed very high in the CTW ranking, so it's fair to say.
That's true. Next one from Shred is, does Hosking get 70-plus minutes with Nicholson out?
Yes.
What makes him our number one claim of the week.
Yep. And then the last one is, I hope I'm not butchering this guy's name, is from Saran.
Saran.
Trade Kuipalotu for Hosking.
Ooh.
He owns Kuipalotu.
How long did
I say yes. Ostensibly, yes, if you need the 2RF, that's an okay switch. Tuipulotu is very good when he plays, but still out for a little while, and Hosking could be a big difference maker and plays around 12 by.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's close.
Yep. I think it's a pretty... I'd rather the Hosking side. I'd grade it as a B- maybe. Hosking's favour.
Pretty even. It's a good trade. I like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If you say it was a C, like, it's pretty fair. The last one is from Adam. Riley Smith or Sam Verrills?
Riley Smith.
I'll go the ascending player. Yeah, that's a ripper. I'll go ascending player just. Although Verrills has been very decent.
Verrills has been good. I mentioned him last week. He's been really good. But just Riley Smith, the last 2 weeks, he's just done a little something different, and I just like what he's doing.
Elevators. Paul, no apology necessary, mate. I was going to say we discussed Campbell Graham a lot couple other podcasts ago. So, yeah, all good, mate. No dramas. One player that we did actually miss, Zach Labert, getting around the centres with Purdue out. Really good young player back in the mix. There's some interest there. Obviously, Cowboys buy coverage after the 12 is really good too. Is Zach Labert someone that should be drafted here, Tots?
I think he should be owned. I wouldn't be spending anything too crazy for him. CT does pretty deep. Like if you can get him as a free agent pickup or a late claim, see what happens. I'm all about that, but it wouldn't be someone I'd be spending up for.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Simo. Good stuff.
That's it.
X.
On X.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. Quick recap. There's some pretty big names at the top end of the waiver list this week. So Zach Hosking, Ezra Mam, Mo Fott, if he's out there. They're the three biggest of the week, boys. Some really interesting ones. Lots of good stopgap options as well. And I think we all think that the Riley Smith, just make sure he's owned. 100% should be an option. Todd's burner account, no doubt. I just know Toddy is packing a thick slug.
I'd love to know who that is. I'm trying to work out. Surely that's one of my mates. You, Chopper. Who are you?
I'm pretty sure that's Todd's burner account. I play games with him online, listeners, and it is BakeSlad94.
BakeSlad94. I'm going to be heading to my group chat to see who's all having a good laugh at that.
That's good stuff.
You're not wrong, mate. That's fair.
Yeah, there it is. The sexy me on himself. Bringing the thick slug energy. Oh, yeah.
Boys, thought this week I'd just run through the list of league quickly, just at the end here. We've got a bit of time. This week, Simo, you beat Shreds, so cop that. Yeah, question from the X. Get that up here. The Puff Daddies took down the Baconators pretty easily. I copped an absolute shellacking this week from White and Wong. He put 200 odd points on me, so that's fun. BDE Chris gets a cheeky one, 7-point win by you, Redford, which is pretty crazy. The Middle East gets one up over Holmes and Watson, and Braden's Willie Army just sneaky gets a 700 win, so that's good. I'll just go to the league table, boys, if I can. Come on.
Braden's Willie Army. That's a good name, just quietly.
It's very clever.
Man, I can't find the league results. Here we go. That's all right. It's not in the league home, so that's good.
Navigating the page. Yep.
View ladder. There we go. That's my first up. Top of the league, we got Simo. He's on 8 wins. Chris, you're on 8 wins. I'm on 8 wins. Sim for Carrigan is the next best on 5 wins. So we've put a bit of a schlacking on the list of league and showing who's the boss. But look, keep fighting, boys. I'm all about it.
Keep fighting.
Slug
like
energy.
to wrap up.
Thick
Slug energy. TSE. We'll just change the name of the potty. I want you to come on the potty next week with your name as TSE Toddy, please.
No. Yeah.
If you
I'm just
come
going to be
clean
slugged from now on.
mate, if you come clean that this is your burner account on
no, it's not, dude. I'm trying to work out.
Happy.
No, but I know a bloke.
Also, it'd be very lovely from the Misso supporting your cause. All right, listeners, it's been awesome. We got well over the 20 tonight, which is pretty sweet for live tune-in. Love all the questions. Love those who've just joined. And if you can, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a like on our vids as we keep growing the brand.
Redford, you mentioned the buy low. You wanted a buy low from one of us.
Sure.
Do you still want to do that, or are you done?
I got easily sidetracked, mate, but I'll take it. Let's go. What do you got?
Well, I've got sort of one of each. I think buy low, I'd be having a crack at Lockie Galvin. I think obviously they got flogged on the weekend. He hasn't looked super good the last couple of weeks, but I think he'll be better rest of season. So he's someone you could have a crack at as a sneaky buy low. As for on the other end of the scale, sell high. Pretty big believer in this one, actually. I'd be selling Aaron Clark obviously he's performing incredibly well, but the return of Fisher Harris I think it's going to hurt Aaron Clark maybe 5 to 10 minutes a game. He'll still be good, but you can sell him for a hell of a lot at the moment. So try and see what you can get.
That's real good from you, mate. You've wanted to knock Aaron Clark in the past, but I think it's warranted here. I think that's a really good shout.
I'll knock the door
Toddy?
down.
No, I didn't even think of one, mate. I actually forgot about it. So, I don't know. Herbie Farnworth, what a guy. He's got a slug too.
Shout out to all our female listeners out there. Hope you're having a lovely evening. Nice. I'll put the explicit content on this one. Good stuff. All right. I was wrapping it up, listeners. Good from you. Great buy-in. BakeSlad94, Todd's burner. Have a good night. And as always, listeners, get that BDE India. Oh, yeah.